Hi, it's Christopher Babiodi from No Jet Stress, and today I want to talk to you about how to travel well during times of COVID. Some of you may have essential travel, or it might just be seasonal travel that you've got to get to grips with, and you might be unsure about what's out there. Are people traveling? Is it safe? I've heard a phrase recently where people have talked about road warriors with an A becoming road warriors with an O. We don't want that to happen. We want to have the safety and the security to know that when we get on that plane, we are safe. The people we're going to meet are safe. We're not taking anything untowards to them. So this video is going to be about the tips and the things that you can do quite specifically that help you travel well, stay well as you go about your business over this festive period. So the first thing I want to talk about is immunity. The saying goes, we can't control the virus, but we can control the host. This is so important. If there is no host compromised immunity, there is no virus. So looking after ourselves is the very first thing that you want to consider. We've got to think about the immune system, but I want to be quite specific about the things you want to think about in this context. At this moment in time, we have people who have all different types of levels of health, and therefore their immunity is expressed in many different ways. One of the things I want to focus on is immunosenescence. Now, immunosenescence is this idea that we have two parts to our immune systems. One we inherit, and the other one is adapted. Now, adapted immune system function is where immunosenescence comes into play, because it can be compromised based on how healthy we are currently, whether we inherited something from the inherited side of our immunity, and making sure that we take the action that's appropriate for where we are is the first step that you want to do. And whatever you decide to do, the important thing is you can use things like supplementation and lifestyle factors to help you quite specifically to get that down, to make sure that you are as best as you can be before you travel. What do I mean quite specifically? Well, we tend to think of immunity only when we tend to get sick, but there are lots of things that we're doing on a day-to-day, regular basis that actually contribute to our immunity. Are we in harmony when we sleep? What I mean is, are we getting the restful sleep that we need? Really important. When people think of making sure that they are well and looking after themselves, they want to go out and run or exercise or lift weights or do whatever exercises it is that they do. The fact of the matter is, when you actually have activity, it's important that you have recovery to go with it. This affects your immune system, because your immune system is triggered through the activity, and at the same time it needs an equal amount of time to rest. So if you're out there thinking you don't want to get COVID, you've got to do all these things to make sure that you're well. You've got to also make sure that you need time to recuperate. Sleep will help you do that. Doing things that don't stress you out. Positive thoughts. We've been in this lockdown part 2 now, and we have this amount of time to actually get things in order for ourselves. If you're one of those people who's been putting off this great plan to do something, now's the time to do that, because it gives you certainty about yourself. It allows you to think positively about the future. That's going to affect your immune system quite specifically. So if you're out there running, make sure you take time to rest. Get a massage. Have your partner give you a massage. If you're one of those people who's working on a project that it means so much to you, you've put it off because you haven't had the time, create time in your day, because that's going to help you when you get ready to go on the road, because you feel good. And your mental states, as well as your physical states, are really important to help you stay well and keep your immunity in tip-top condition. So I've touched on some of these things in previous material, but I want to go a bit deeper. So for instance, some of the supplements specifically that I'm really keen on for this moment in time, quite specifically, are vitamin C, because it's known and it's been demonstrated as an antiviral. So it's really good to get good quality vitamin C. You can go and get a cheap brand if you like. If that's all you can afford, it's better than nothing. But if you really want to invest in yourself, get something that's liposomal or a fat-based vitamin C. This is going to give you a lot of the good stuff without all the nasty sweeteners. If you want to look at your sleep, the specifics that you want to do is make sure that you lock in the habit of a regular sleep time. Portion your time according to what you've got to do for your day, but at the same time, you want to make sure ideally that you're in bed before 10. Even if you have to wake up a bit later, that's going to be good, because between 10 and 2 a.m. in the morning is when you typically get deep sleep. Deep sleep is going to be that sleep that's really restorative to you physically, and that gives your immune system a really good boost. So Another really great supplement I'm keen on is something called N-acetylcysteine, NAC for short. NAC is one of those supplements that I've been talking about for quite a while, and there are a couple of reasons for that. One, NAC actually feeds into your glutathione production, and glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. The other thing about that is that glutathione is indicative of melatonin. As a frequent traveller, people tend to have challenges sleeping or getting the right amount of sleep that they need, and if you manage your glutathione and your NAC, you can actually help boost your melatonin supplies. So this is something that's really good for you. At the same time, it's known that if you have liver poisoning from paracetamol, for instance, you will be offered or given NAC intravenously because it's one of those supplements that is very powerful. It's a supplement, it's not a drug, it's an amino acid, but anything from 600 micrograms, I believe, to 1,200 micrograms can be quite useful. And literature published this year in 2020 shows quite specifically how it helps quell the cytokine storm that's associated with COVID. Now, the cytokines is part of your body's immune system, but it can get overproduced with the severity of COVID symptoms. NAC is able to cut that off at its feet and enables you to manage that so people don't have deteriorating symptoms and have to go onto ventilators and things of that nature. Another great supplement to consider is Mega Hydrates. You can buy it online, and it's something that actually mimics or helps you add additional hydrogen into your body. Why would this be important? Well, hydrogen, one, helps you partly control how hydrated you are, and it helps you drive supplements into the body, and at the same time, because it's a constituent of water, it means that your body is able to go through all the cellular structures and help remove all the toxins and waste. So it's good for you to stay hydrated, but at the same time, it's helping your body become more effective, produce more energy. If you're flying at this time, you want to stay hydrated because, as we know, dehydration is one of those factors that affects performance as well as energy. So as someone who's catering quite specifically to the travel wellness community, even though some people in Europe, or quite a few people in Europe, aren't traveling necessarily, it's important to drive home how we can take lessons from this current time of COVID and apply them to the travel industry. And that way it actually affects people who are traveling just for Christmas or who travel regularly. The thing I want to impress upon you quite specifically is we say we can't control the virus, so we can control the host. Likewise, you can't control all the different variables when you travel, but you can look after yourself as best as possible to make sure that you reduce that risk. I really want to impress upon you that this is something that's so important to do now. You can do it in whichever way suits you, but it must be done because you have a responsibility, like we all do, to actually get this virus under control. And when we individually take responsibility, that's one way we can do that. The way I like to language it in the travel wellness space is that we have a global citizen responsibility. If we all look after each other, then we cut the feet from under COVID in terms of the ability for it to spread through people traveling. It's really important, and that's a really good take-home message I'd like to share with you now. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Christopher Babiodi. I've worked in the travel wellness space for 20 years because I spent 20 years traveling as a steward for an airline. I trained as a naturopathic nutritional therapist. I think I covered over 1.2 million miles in total. So this is really important to me, especially now as the travel wellness and the travel industry space is suffering. I'd like to be a resource for you. If you have any questions about how to manage certain aspects of your travel schedule going forward, or how to manage it after COVID to make sure you make the most of this time because there is opportunity here, just pop your questions in the box below and I'll be able to answer them in a Q&A session. I really hope you stay well over this festive period, and I look forward to your questions and answering them to make sure that we make this time a really great time for reinvention of our health and that of the travel wellness space and the travel wellness industry. So an additional thing that I would like to offer you or extend to you is the idea of having a chat with myself. The idea that you're a traveller or you travel often, potentially means that maybe your hormones are imbalanced in some way, shape or form. It happens to the best of us because when you travel from east to west or west to east, you have that hormonal balance to play with during translatitudinal travel. A long word, I know. But basically what I'm saying to you is, if you actually speak to someone who's within the space, who understands the specific challenges that travellers have, they have insights that can help you readjust those hormones and get you back on an even keel, so this becomes something that you're able to take with you once we move past COVID, because it's always a challenge for people who fly. So from me to you, wherever you go, I ask you to please take care